Chapter 12. No new friends. Aubrey returned to the bleachers where Celine was lounging alone, absorbed in her phone. As Aubrey approached and sat beside her, Celine threw her arms up theatrically in mock dismay. "Finally, I was beginning to think you'd been kidnapped or something." "I've been marooned here for ages," Celine said, her tone dripping with exaggerated distress. Aubrey chuckled. "I figured you had your phone to keep you company." "Well, I did FaceTime Aiden for a bit, but he had to rush off to work. After that, I was left here, abandoned." She leaned forward and clasped her hands dramatically. "Alone. Forgotten. It's utterly tragic," she said with a playful smirk. With a laugh, Aubrey shook her head. "You're ridiculous." "I know," Celine said, grinning broadly. After a brief pause, Aubrey changed the subject. "Hey, do you think Hanna likes me?" Celine's expression shifted, her response blunt. "Oh, no, she can't stand you." Aubrey blinked in surprise at Celine's directness. "Wait, what? Why?" As she leaned back with a nonchalant shrug, Celine explained. "Well, at Julian's place the other night, Hanna and Julian had a bit of a spat. It wasn't exactly private. I overheard bits of it and asked Cameron what the deal was. Turns out, Hanna's riding on Julian's coattails a bit too hard, and he's getting fed up with it." Aubrey frowned, puzzled. "What does that have to do with me?" Celine leaned closer, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "Julian's been thinking about making a career change, something completely different from racing. He's pretty much over it, but Hanna's pushing him to stay because it supports her influencer lifestyle and sponsorships," she said with a dismissive wave. "She had just about convinced him to stick with NASCAR a little longer when you came along." "And how do I fit into that?" Aubrey asked, still confused. Celine's eyes twinkled with mischief. "Julian has a thing for art, and it seems like your passion for it reminded him of his own dreams. Your arrival sort of rekindled his desire for change. Now Hanna fears your influence might encourage him to leave racing sooner, which could jeopardize her plans." Stunned, Aubrey absorbed the revelation. "I'm just living my life. How is that causing them problems?" Celine burst out laughing. "Exactly, it's not a crime to exist. Hanna's issues are her own. Honestly, don't sweat their marital drama." Aubrey nodded, a mix of relief and unease settling in. "It's just strange," Aubrey said, her brows knitting together. "Knowing someone dislikes me, and I still don't really understand why." Celine hesitated before answering. "She said something to Cameron. Something like, you come across as this perfect little goody two-shoes, like you retrying too hard to be everyone's idea of Ms. Right. And she can't stand that." She paused, then added, "But you're my sister." "I didn't want to upset you." Aubrey gave a dry half-smile. "Well, thanks, I guess." With a dismissive flick of her wrist, Celine offered some sisterly advice. "That's life for you. People can be strange, and sometimes you end up as the villain in their story without even trying. Just keep doing your thing." Though Celine's words were meant to be comforting, they lingered in Aubrey's mind. It was disconcerting to think that her simple presence and interests could inadvertently stir so much discord in someone else's life. As the setting sun cast long shadows across the track, the day's shoot finally wrapped up. Crew members bustled around, packing up equipment and coordinating their next moves. Among the commotion, Aubrey and Celine engaged in a light conversation until Memphis approached, his equipment in tow, his shirt marked with the sweat of a day's hard work. "Sorry it dragged on so long under the sun," he said, adjusting his camera bag. "Hope it wasn't too rough for you too." Aubrey offered him a reassuring smile. "No, it was fascinating watching you work. You really seemed in your element." Celine chimed in with an enthusiastic nod. Yeah, it was cool to see everything in action. I had no idea how intense your shoots could be. Memphis laughed modestly. Well, I do what I can. He then pulled out his phone. Should we call a lift? Before Aubrey could respond, Cameron appeared beside them, his energy as vibrant as ever. Hey, Celine, he said with a wide grin. Got any plans for the next few hours? Want to grab a drink before the helicopter thing? Celine raised an eyebrow, her tone playful. Is this your way of asking me out? He returned her smirk. Perhaps it is. Celine pretended to ponder. I suppose I can spare some time for you. Aubrey was half amused and half relieved at the prospect of some quiet time with Memphis. I can't believe you're up for drinking again after last night, Memphis said. Not everyone's a lightweight like you, Celine shot back. With a theatrical flourish, Cameron extended his hand and bowed. Madam, shall we? As she burst into laughter, Celine placed her hand in his. Lead the way, kind sir. When Celine and Cameron turned to leave, Celine threw a playful glance back at Aubrey. Don't get too jealous. Maybe Memphis will treat you to some chivalry too. Aubrey groaned playfully. Just go before he changes his mind. With their laughter echoing behind him, Cameron led Celine away and left Aubrey and Memphis alone. Memphis shook his head, he was still smiling. She's something else, isn't she? Definitely a handful, Aubrey replied, sharing a laugh. Memphis checked his phone. Lift's on its way. Let's head to the curb. They walked to the designated pickup spot, the cooler late afternoon air a pleasant change from the day's heat. As they stood waiting, Aubrey turned to Memphis. You really looked happy today. It's good to see you like that. His smile was soft, touched by her observation. Thanks. It feels right, you know? Like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. That's how it should feel, she replied, knowing well the fulfillment that comes from pursuing one's passion. Like with your art, he added thoughtfully. Surprised and heartened by his words, Aubrey nodded. Yeah, exactly. And thanks, Memphis, for being supportive even when it's hard. He offered a gentle smile as their ride pulled up. Of course. Let's head out. As they settled into the back of the lift, Aubrey felt a reassuring sense of normalcy envelop them. Despite the day's exhaustion and the lingering drama surrounding Hanna, being with Memphis felt reassuringly right. Yet, she remained unaware of the shift beneath the surface.